It's duct tape. Hey y'all.
What's up, y'all?
Welcome to Team Tatum.
Team Tatum.
I'm Elise.
I'm William.
We've been married for almost 10 years. We caught the camping bug back in 2020 and we've been hooked ever since. Now we have a goal to visit all 90 Texas state parks and camping at a lot of them. Not all of them need to actually be camped at, but we hope that you join us for this journey.
This video will be about our first camping trip, about how we prepared, what we expected, and what the actual reality was.
So for our first camping trip together, we went to Big Bend Ranch State Park. That's a big word for animal. In Presidio, Texas, and that is right at the Texas-Mexico border.
Right at the Texas-Mexico border.
This is Texas. That's Mexico. This is where we were camping. River, Mexico.
I don't think they can see your fingers.
Texas. River, Mexico.
There you go. We chose this site because we had heard from a friend of ours that Big Bend was a great place to see the stars because there's no light pollution. It's nothing out there. There's no street lights. There's no big city. Nothing. Anything that you're used to emitting light that you don't think about, none of that is there. So we planned a trip to go out and see the stars for ourselves, but instead of just visiting the area like our friend did, we decided to do our first camping trip. And we decided to make it primitive camping. So I've had some experience camping in the backyard of my grandparents' farm. We were out there with whatever likes to hang out at farms at night, coyotes, possums, whatever. So I haven't been no, I'll take that back. We camped in college. We went one time, but again, we were in someone's backyard essentially. They lived in the woods, right offside the road, and they had a mini little forest behind them. So me and a couple of my roommates did that, but this was the first time we were gonna be out there. Did you have any camping experience beforehand?
Girl Scouts.
Girl Scouts. So this is pretty much gonna be the first for us, as adults, pretty much.
And we chose to go in October so that it wouldn't be unbearably hot. And we chose primitive camping so that we could get the full camping experience without water, electricity, no phone service, just us.
We didn't know about the phone service till we got there. So what I expected was for it not to be that rough, because one, I don't really care about my phone all that much. So I wasn't gonna be like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do, I don't have any power or whatever. We brought a portable charger, so we would have power for our phone, but I wasn't really worried about it. And I enjoy nature, and I wanted to get in the river. So say that I've been in the Guadalupe River, we were gonna float, and just gonna see how it was to truly be camping.
My expectations, pretty much what he said. We would just be out there roughing it, enjoying nature. I expected it to be warm, not hot. And then we expected it to get colder at night.
Naturally.
Yeah, and we were in a desert, so it's usually a lot colder at night when you're in the desert. But yeah, expected critters. Didn't want them, but I expected them. Nature, solitude, and just reconnecting pretty much with each other and the outdoors.
Adventure.
So what we brought with us seemed like enough.
But first, let's paint a little picture of getting to Big Bend. So we live right outside of Austin, Texas, right outside. And Big Bend is about 8 hours-ish from here. So we went out there, great views the whole way. It is my personal favorite of road trip views. Going part of the highway cuts into the mountain. Like they didn't go around the mountain; they literally just cut into it, and so you see the sides of the mountain on either side of you as you're going through for certain stretches, and it's really really pretty to see the levels of just years and years and years of the rock. And so we stopped at a place called Alpine, little bitty town. Like you can get through it in 5 minutes, maybe 10. It's super small. And we stopped and had lunch at a place called Magoo's. I think it was called Magoo's. And then from there, was it an hour and a half? An hour. So an hour to get to this even smaller town called Terlingua, which, fun fact, is where chili was birthed for the United States. So that's where they started making chili, was in this place called Terlingua. So that's on our list of things to try. It's some Terlinguan chili. I don't know if that's what that's called, but it sounded right. So Terlinguan chili. Anyway, from Terlingua, we backing up to Alpine, we bought some firewood because they suggested that we don't bring outside firewood, like from wherever you're coming from, because it may have bugs and things inside the wood that'll come out once you start burning it, because you're burning up their house, that could mess up the ecosystem of Big Bend. So we bought some in Alpine, which is within that same kind of area, before we went on. So anyway, Alpine, Terlingua. From Terlingua, it was 6 miles, I think. I think it was 6 miles.
How far it was from the
Welcome Center, yeah.
Campsite.
So 6-ish miles from Terlingua to the Welcome Center. And once you check in, get your little tag to put in your window, it's 16 miles to our campsite. And I don't know where we lined up, like if we were like the first or the third. It's towards the beginning of getting into the park, but there's even farther campsites. So once you pass the Welcome Center, that's where the telephone lines cut out. We didn't know that at the time, because we told our moms that we would call them once we got to camp. So we done checked in, drove the 16 miles to the campsite, pulled out our phones to call them, no bars. So then we had to drive the 16 miles back just to call them and tell them that we made it.
And not to expect a phone call.
Yeah, and don't try to call us, because it's not, like, don't panic if it goes straight to voicemail, because we don't have any service. And so, of course, that worried them even more than they were already worried. We called them, went back to camp, and started setting things up. So this is what we brought.
Like I was saying, it seemed like we brought enough stuff. Turns out it was not enough stuff. So we brought 2 gallons of water, like the big gallon jug that like milk comes in. We bought 2 gallons of distilled water in that. And then we brought a 6-pack of regular bottled water. Well, it was flavored because that was all they had at the time at the store. But a 6-pack of those. So however many ounces a regular bottle of water is, I think it's 16 ounces.
Not enough.
Right. And then we brought 2 quilts and a comforter for inside the tent, can of chili to eat for dinner, and then to go with that we brought some shredded cheese, some Fritos, some chopped onions that he chopped up. He's the onion chopper in the relationship. Unless he's not around and I have to chop it myself, but that's another story. We brought a small little cooler. It's about this wide, not too big, about maybe that tall. That's a little
Muy poquito.
something cooler, little picnic cooler pretty much. We brought 2 6-packs of beers. Don't ask questions, mind your business. We brought a bat that we call Lucille for safety reasons. A knife, because all the videos we watched beforehand said it was recommended to have a knife with you just in case you gotta cut through something, pretty much. We brought a hammock. We brought our tent, of course, with steaks included. It didn't say on the package that it came with steaks, so we bought extra steaks too. So we just have those, which is fine to have, but the actual tent did come with stakes. We brought a mallet to set up the tent. As he said, we've got some firewood on our way there. We also stopped at a Walmart on the way there and got some bowls and spoons to eat the chili with, because we left that at home.
I forgot the bowl and spoons.
And we brought some lawn chairs so that we can hang out and enjoy the view, pretty much. A portable charger that ended up sucking. It worked well for that trip, but then it just clunked out for some reason. And then it's a really good brand. I wish I could think of what the brand. I think Morpho.
Started with an M, but I don't.
Yeah, I think it was Morpho. What else we bring?
We brought the
Skillet.
cast iron skillet to cook in. Normal.
Cooking stuff.
Other cooking, like with a spatula or whatever. Toothbrush, toothpaste, some washcloths, deodorant. We really thought we was gonna be out here cleaning ourselves up like normal people.
Showering up somewhere.
Yeah. We brought a tablecloth to put over the little pavilion table. So we knew going in that they had a little mini picnic table with a little pavilion over it, and so we were gonna eat there, and so we got a tablecloth so we wouldn't be eating directly on the metal, the grossness. We brought duct tape because you always need duct tape. You never know.
Camping tape. It's duct tape.
That's what I should have said. We brought one of the long extended lighters, so nobody's putting their fingers close off in the wood to light it, but I also brought matches just in case the lighter decided it wasn't gonna work, because it's a little finicky. What else we bring?
Swimsuits.
Swimsuits.
Because we were gonna go tubing, so we brought our swimsuits to get in the water.
Mm-hmm.
A suitcase. That's what we brought all our clothes in.
We were only there for one night. We were gonna get there Saturday and then leave out Sunday. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. And we brought a backpack that had other things that were already listed in there.
Little makeshift first aid kit was in there.
Yeah.
Sunscreen.
That kind of stuff, necessities.
Yeah.
Binoculars and a tripod so that we could record some stuff while we're there. Oh, and a little. No, we did. Yes, we did. Maybe.
I don't think we brought
the camera.
Yeah, we planned on doing a time lapse of the sun going down, sunset. That's what that's called. To see the stars appear, and I think that's pretty much it. Our backseat was full. Like, we didn't do a very good job of packing.
Yeah.
Like, it was
We just put stuff
in the car. So like, no one could have gone with us because there would have been no room. We learned for the second time that we went, but it seemed like we were gonna be gone for like 3 days.
Right.
With how the car looked. You want to get into how it actually turned out with all this prep?
Yes. So, in reality, like I told you in our expectations, we were already expecting it to be warmer in the daytime, colder at night, not to have great service, and just that kind of stuff that you would think is going to happen while you're camping, especially out in the desert.
Oh. Pooping. We expected to be pooping in a hole.
Oh yeah, we brought a little shovel.
Forgot the shovel. We got a little spade, a little garden spade, and fully prepared. Well, I was. She was just gonna make her body hold it in.
That's
but
what I do.
fully prepared to dig a hole somewhere secluded, do my business, cover it up, walk away.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm not being an animal.
Dig a hole.
That's what people do when they camp primitive.
Cover it. Leave. Yeah, but how it turned out from those expectations, as I said, it was only 80 degrees, but that 80 degrees really stacked up after a while. And we were sweating. I had to change into my swimsuit bottoms just to try to cool down some. So be prepared. If you think it's just going to be kind of warm, bring something in case it's kind of hot. But we thought that it was going to be warm. It ended up being kind of hot. At night, it got cold, real cold, and some things went wrong along the way leading up to nighttime. So we took the top off of our tent. The tent that we have, it has a mesh top and then a rain cover that you can put on it to keep the rain out. So we took the rain cover off so that we could look up at the stars from inside the tent once it got dark, and then we fell asleep. It was a mistake.
Super mistake.
Because I woke up in the middle of the night. First off, a great experience when I woke up because the stars all had finally came out, and it was so beautiful that I literally could only gasp and be like, wow, because it was so pretty. Tried to wake him up to look. He didn't care too much because he was knocked out. He was like, oh yeah, nice.
It was great though. It was like if you had a black tablecloth and you spilled salt on the tablecloth. Like
there were
it's
stars everywhere.
a stupid amount of stars.
But then, after being over the majesticness of the stars, I realized that I woke up because I was freezing, like shivering, freezing. And I was like, wait, it's cold. And he's over here, we both Harlem shaking in the tent because it was so cold. But it was also ridiculously dark out there because, again, there are zero lights.
Zero.
Which is why you can see the stars so good. So we were like, I was like, I'm not going out there to put it on. He was like, he not going out there to put it on. I was like, well, we made it this long.
Also, body heat is gonna have to escape. All the heat that was in there was just going out through the mesh top.
It turns out the rain cover is not just for keeping in the rain, but keeping
out
out the rain, but it's also for keeping in the heat.
Yes.
Pro tip.
So going back to what we brought 2 quilts and a comforter. And the plan was to put the comforter on the bottom of the tent for, cushion, because you're just out there on the ground. Also, this place was sand. It was desert. So you're just out on sand, like being on the beach, but not as soft or whatever. Anyway, we were going to sleep under the 2 quilts. But like she said, waking up in the middle of the night, Harlem shaking, that plan went out the window. Because we were only wearing regular pajamas, like what we would go to sleep in here. We didn't have anything on that was supposed to be warm.
Yeah, no insulation.
No insulation, like just regular pajama pants and like a t-shirt and whatever socks. She doesn't really wear socks. I wear ankle socks. So that's what we had on. And so we got up underneath everything. The 2 quilts and the comforter, which for a second felt good. Then the realization hit that we were sleeping on the bottom of the tent, which means there was no cushion and it's just a little thin tent material. So we were basically sleeping on the ground.
Right.
And since it's sand and it's dark and the desert, that means the ground was cold, which means we were still cold. So we wound up spooning so tight that atoms couldn't get through between us, just to keep warm throughout the night. It was kind of a terrible sleeping experience.
Yeah. And then earlier in the day when we first got there, we had planned on going tubing, but we could not find access to the river to save our life. We walked way far down, heard something that told us, get out of here. And we listened. So we turned around and went back towards our tent, towards our campsite, and we were just walking. We could not find the entrance. We could hear it.
We could hear it,
we
just
could
could
hear
not
the water
get to it.
running, very strong, right next to us. We were like, it's on the other side of these trees. We know it's on the other side of these trees, but how do we get through these trees? And
they
then
were thick.
Yeah.
It wasn't just go through the trees. No, this was something
Yeah.
was gonna be on you.
And then at the end of those trees was a cliff. So you still you weren't gonna get to the water either way going through there. So we walking. We finally were just like, forget it. I think, no, we did find it later in the evening, and we were so mad because we had walked by it so many times. It was over,
like near our campsite.
yeah. It turns out, what he was saying earlier, that we expected to be shoveling a hole to poop in. It turns out that they had an outhouse there, so we didn't have to do that. And right, like, a few steps away
like
from
20
the
yards
outhouse,
from the outhouse
was the boat access to get to the river. And that's where, like, everybody got in. You just walked in right there. And we're like, we were here. Like, we could see the outhouse from our tent. And if we looked over, we could have seen the entrance. You can't tell that it is an entrance. It's not like a sign right there. You can just see the little thing going down. And we were like, ah. So.
By the time we came to this realization, it was too late in the day.
Yeah.
So it was, a little chilly. And we didn't want to get in the water that late into the evening.
Yeah. And so we decided that we would get up in the morning and go tubing then. But then when we woke up, it was still freezing cold. So we just slept in.
No.
Right? We were like, looks like we're not going. Close that back up. So we slept in until it got warm enough to our liking before we had to actually pack up and leave.
Which was basically when we had to pack up
Yeah.
and leave, is when we got out of the tent. It was stupid cold.
Yeah, so that's what happened.
The road getting there is an adventure in itself because it's in the mountains, so it's like a roller coaster. She had her hands gripped into the door handle and the center console the whole time.
Afraid.
I was driving like below the speed limit because like it has a speed limit posted, which is way faster than what
we feel you should go.
Yes. Like, because when you're going up, all you see is up. Like, you don't see what the road is going to do. You don't know if it's going to go back down or if it's going to go back down to the left or to the right. Which it did sometimes. So it was like, you got to be prepared. So we were just like inching up these little hills, driving to get to the tent, to the campsite. And then when we left the campsite to go back, when we were still trying to find this river access, after we had our little meet and greet with whatever made noises in the tree line.
It was just like,
yeah, we were like,
you right.
We're gonna go back this way. We hopped in the car and got back on the road, and we were like, there's got to be another, like maybe at one of the other campsites we can get to it. Even though ours was supposed to be
the
spot for getting in the river. Like that's the reason we chose that spot.
It's called Grassy Banks because it's at the river bank.
Yeah. Also, there's no grass. I don't know why they call it Grassy Banks.
Just lies all over the place.
Yeah. And there are these, going along the road, there was these dope teepees, like man-made structures. They weren't actual teepees, but they were like a little rest stop area, essentially. And there's a great view from there. We got to look down at the river and just over the mountaintops and all of that. And past that was a sign that we had neither one of us ever seen before. They had a picture of a truck at an angle, and it said grade like 15 or something like that. Don't know what none of that means. All we knew was that the road went up higher than we had ever seen before. In addition to what we had already been through, it made that look like flat ground. And I was like, I don't know what grade 15 is, and I can't see the bottom. So
looks like it's not meant for our car to go down.
Like from our perspective, it looked like God was just like took a break on building that road. Like not the road, but just the earth. I was like, I'm good. So we popped a Yui on the road and went back to our little campsite.
This is the end of the road for us. You see the river down there though? It's a 15% grade decline. Use low gear. We don't even know what that means. So we turn it around. See? I was right for us to turn it around yesterday. It wasn't all chicken stuff.
Like I said, we watched the sunset. We did a time lapse. I kind of ruined it because
I'll insert it here.
by moving the camera when I wasn't supposed to. So that's on me. And we did s'mores. I don't like graham crackers. She doesn't like marshmallows, so that was interesting.
We did it just to say we did it.
Yeah, basically. You gotta make s'mores when you can.
Overall, we did a lot of exploring while we were there, but we didn't even touch the surface pretty much of what there is to do there. And we were only there for one day, so we couldn't do a whole lot. Our next time we went, we did more exploring. We went hiking and all that kind of stuff, but there's still a whole lot more to do. And we decided to make this an annual trip, and each time we go, hopefully more and more people can join us on the trip. We have a nice amount of people going with us for our third trip that's coming up. We will be recording, so stay tuned for that footage. But we want to make this a way to help people, especially Black people, experience the outdoors more, and hopefully make them, well, not make them, but help them
feel okay.
Yeah, to enjoy being out camping, just being in nature, just having a good time outside, basically. Yeah. We want to bring that to the people.
And I wouldn't necessarily recommend Big Ben as your first venture into this if you've never done it before. Don't do that, because
we just wanted to go all in our first time.
Yeah, go big, go home.
Yeah.
But for you, if you're scared about it, find a place near you where you're basically in town still, and it's kind of like a park. Like, start at a park that allows camping. Start with that, and then baby steps. Work your way up, because like we were just out there, so if stuff went wrong, we were miles from civilization. But luckily, like I said, there's other people around. It wasn't like we were just literally the only people there. So push come to shove, one of the other people at the campsite could have helped us out for whatever the situation was.
Yeah, and so like you were saying, primitive camping may not be for you, or it might not be for you right now, but there's a lot of other options. So start where you feel comfortable and work your way up from there, or stay there if that's what you find out that you really like. We do plan on showing y'all the different options that there are in camping. It's going to be a lot of primitive camping because that's what we like. So that's what you can expect the most from us, but we will show other things like glamping, maybe a cabin somewhere, that kind of stuff too. But just stay tuned to find out. What's your final thoughts?
All in all, I suggest that at the very least, people get out and just enjoy nature. And not nature like your backyard, like you see that every day, but stuff you've never seen before. Like I said, just the trip to Big Ben alone was parts of nature that I didn't know existed, especially in Texas. It looks completely different than how it does in Central Texas here. Because there's a lot. You only see what you see every day, pretty much. And yeah, the internet exists now, so you can look at stuff, going to Google. But seeing it in person is a different type of experience. So at the very least, I encourage more people that look like me, and just people in general, to go out and go outside of their norm, even if it's just for a couple hours. You don't got to spend a whole day or a weekend or whatever like we did, but just find a place that has good natural landscape, and go see it for yourself. And enjoy.
Samesies. I really enjoyed the trip. It had its highs and lows, but the lows weren't actually bad things. It was just like us learning what to do in the future since it was our first time going. But it was still like stuff that we laugh at now. We laughed at as it happened, so it wasn't really low, just
Teachable moments.
lower compared to the highs. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Depending on where you go and what season it is, that determines like how many layers you should bring. I do suggest to bring more layers than you think you will need, just in case. You don't want to end up like us.
Yeah. You can always put on more clothes if you bring them, but if you ain't got them,
You ain't got them.
you ain't got them. So best to have them and not need them than need them and not have them.
Yeah. And be sure to bring a lot of water. Whenever you think that you have too much water, bring some more water, even more than that. It's recommended that you should bring 1 gallon of water per person per day, plus an extra gallon to do your cleaning, like washing your dishes, washing your body, that kind of stuff. And as I told you, we brought 2 gallons of water in total. And 6 bottles of water, so we were out there thirsty.
Not to mention we were drinking those beers.
Yeah,
So
trying to supplement for the lack of water.
yeah, like, we were so thirsty out there. So we learned for our next trip to bring more water. Spoiler alert, we still didn't bring enough water.
Even though we did bring more water,
Yeah.
it wasn't enough.
But for the third trip that we did bring enough water. We even brought some back.
Yeah.
So we found our sweet spot of what we needed.
Yeah. But that is all for this video. If you stuck around till the end, thank you. Thank you for watching and being part of our new journey, sharing these videos with you at least. If you want to see parts of our last trip or our full last trip to Big Bend, I'll have it up above for you to watch. It'll probably be actually on this side. Up above for you to watch, and it'll be in the end card too. But please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
Share it.
Yes, and share it so that you can support our new channel. But that is going to be it for us today. Bye. We did it. It was only an hour long.